Hey everybody, welcome to Weekend Yoga with Jules. Today's practice is going to be super stretchy, real feel good today. We're going to open up the hips a lot today. We're going to warm up first and then we'll dive into some pretty deep stretching. So let's hop on our mat. We're going to come to the front of our mat, get nice and warmed up with a few sun salutations. So we're going to start with our big toes together, heels apart. And let's come into a nice strong mountain pose. Really connect down through the entire foot. Draw some energy up through the arches, all the way up through the inner thigh. Give your tailbone a little tuck, just lengthen out the low back. Gently draw the belly button in and up. And then try to loosen up through the rib cage a little bit. Take some nice deep breaths. Feel the air filling the lungs 360 degrees, front, sides, and back. Send a little energy down through the fingertips. Maybe take a second to roll the shoulders away from the ears. And gently draw the chin in. Relax the back of the neck. We're going to take an inhale all the way up, reaching for the sky. As we exhale, we're coming into a slow forward fold. All the way over the legs. Feel free to hang out here for a moment. Shake the head yes and no. Let the neck really relax. On an inhale, we're going to come to our halfway up position. Stay nice and lifted, sending the tailbone back. Roll those shoulders back away from the ears. On an exhale, we're going to bring our fingertips to the mat. Step one leg back. Maybe a nice little lunge here, runner's lunge. Plant those hands, step the other leg back. If you'd like, you can pedal out the feet right and left. Let's bring our knees down to the mat. On an exhale, we're going to lower down in our chaturanga. Inhale, gentle little cobra here. Exhale, release. We're going to do two more of those. Inhale, little press. Exhale, release. And one more time, inhale to press. And exhale, release. We're going to push back into a child's pose here. Just keep your knees hip distance apart. Send your hips back. Keep the arms active and stretch those fingertips forward. And we'll take it up into a little gentle down dog here, tucking those toes. Use your belly button to lift those hips high. Keep the knees soft. Plug those shoulders in. We're going to roll through the feet here a few times. Check in with the necks. It's pretty natural to want to look forward, be aware of our surroundings, but try to drop your head and really let gravity lengthen the neck. Gliding the shoulders towards the hips. Let's take a few more pedals here, right and left. And then pause for just a moment. We're going to step the left foot forward, coming into a runner's lunge here, a little shift forward and back. Check in with upper body here. Make sure we're not super rounded or collapsed. We're going to take a step forward, bringing those feet together one more time. On an inhale, find that halfway lifted position. Exhale, back over the legs. And on an inhale, we're going to stretch all the way up for the sky, big reach. Exhale, hands come to the heart. Just take a second to adjust. If you need to find your center again, feel free to do a little wiggle, a little shake. Let's take a round two. We're going to move slightly faster this time. Inhale, big reach up. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale to your halfway lifted position. Really long neck here. Exhale, Plant the fingertips, right leg steps back. Little rock forward and back here. Plant the hands, step back into your plank. And this time you can either come to knees or you can flow through that full plank, full chaturanga, up dog or cobra if you'd like. Finding a downward facing dog. This time we're going to step the big toes together. The heels have a little space between them. Really plug the shoulders into the back. We're going to bend one knee and let the hips twist. And then bend the other knee. We're trying to keep the upper body pretty stable here. Let's do a few more of these, really working into the hip socket, stretching the outer hip. We don't always get to stretch that area. And then we'll pause, look forward, step the left foot forward. Take a gentle shift forward and back. And then we'll step it forward, hanging it over those legs. Inhale to halfway up. Exhale, release over. Inhale, sweep the arms forward to rise all the way up, reaching nice and high up overhead. Exhale, hands to your heart. We're going to do one more round of that. Inhale to reach. Exhale to fold. Really stretch the tailbone back. Stretch through those hamstrings. Really lovely stretch here. Inhale, halfway up. Send the heart forward. Send the tailbone back. Exhale, fingertips down. Right leg back. Feel free here if you want to warm up the hips a little more. So just float the fingertips up a little bit and just make sure we're not collapsed on that front leg. Plant the hands, step it back, and flow through either knees or full plank. Up dog or cobra. Sending it back into downward facing dog. And this time we're going to march out the legs, really warming up the hips here. So melt your chest through your arms. Give me a nice strong press through the palms here. On an inhale, we're going to lift that right heel way up behind us. Exhale, lower the leg back down. We'll take the left leg, inhale. Exhale. Right side, inhale. Exhale, down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Nice deep breath, inhale. Control it, no flinging. We'll do one more on the right side. One more on the left side. Step that left foot forward. Find your lunge. Feel free to lift. I think I was supposed to step the right foot forward, my bad. We lift. I was probably messing that up the whole time. That's okay. We roll with it. We step forward. Hang over those legs. From here, guys, we're going to heel toe those feet apart. Just to the edges of your mat, maybe slightly wider. Let's hook elbows, lengthen the chest forward here. Keep a little soft bend in the knees, and then we'll fold back over the legs, hook elbows. And really feel the weight of your shoulders, just pulling the shoulders towards the floor. Check in with the knees, don't lock them out. And if you'd like to take a little ragdoll sway, be real gentle with it. Just sway like a pendulum. Back to center. We're going to bring our fingertips down, heel toe those feet in about an inch or two. We're coming into a yogi squat. I'm actually going to face you for this. We're going to try to drop the hips low below the knees. And I know that this can be a really tough pose to get into. So if you need, you can grab maybe a big book. If you have a yoga block, sometimes that's nice to hold just in front of you on the floor. If your hips are super tight, we're gonna go really wide. So this is your modification. Wide into a sumo squat stance. And we're gonna drop those hips just till you feel a stretch on inner thigh. And then take your forearms and kind of wedge them against inner thigh and give a little press back. So legs are pressing into arms, arms are pressing into legs, and that's your stability. If you do have the mobility today to drop a little lower, we're gonna sink those hips low, try to keep the feet flat on the floor. You might need to adjust the distance a little bit. And then we're gonna work on lengthening the spine here. So same thing, we're gonna get the arms inside of the legs, on that fleshy part of the leg, palms pressed together, and use this leverage, really press palm into palm, arms into legs, legs into arms. We're lengthening the tailbone, we're lengthening the neck, and we're opening the chest. This pose takes a lot of practice, it does. But we breathe into it. And again, if you need that extra support here, a little block, or even just one hand to the floor, that's okay. We breathe. Let's take one more round of breath. Fingertips come back down, we straighten up, and let's bring hands to hips, roll all the way up to standing, keeping the knees soft. Awesome. We're going to come back to the front of the mat if you're not already there. Toes together, heels apart. Find a mountain pose. Recenter, take a breath in. Take a breath out. Inhale to reach all the way up overhead. Exhale to a forward fold. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, fingertips down, step that right leg back. Super long lunge here, and then I want you to take the left hip and just slide it back a few inches so that, we're not collapsed in this pose here. We're lifted and held. And then again, check in if you want to lift up and just make sure that the upper body's engaged. Give me a press through that back heel. Take one more deep breath. We're going to lower the back knee, untuck those toes, and plant the right hand. Reach the left arm forward, as far forward as you can. Inhale to lift all the way up, and exhale to reach back behind you. Breathing. Take one more breath in. Exhale. This time we're going to take the hand to the inside of the leg. And you can scoot the back leg back another inch or so. We want to make sure the front knee is right over the ankle. This is a very intense inner hip stretch. So if this is enough for you, you can hang out here. If it's too much, take one hand to the thigh. That's totally fine. If those hips are feeling super loose today, you can start to bend the elbows slightly and melt yourself deeper into the pose. A little modified lizard pose today. Just breathing here. I'm going to let you stay here and breathe, just melting into this hip stretch. One more nice big inhale. Exhale. We're going to frame that front foot one more time with the hands. Take the left hip all the way back as we straighten through the front leg. And You can walk those hands back with you. You might want to scoot the front foot forward a bit so we can rock up on the heel. We're going to move this little calf and hamstring stretch. So we're pointing the toes, flexing the toes. Keep your heart reaching out past that front foot. Trying to lengthen the spine. So this is not a forehead to knee pose just yet. Let's do one more rock forward, one more rock back. Good. Lengthen even more. And here we'll just let ourselves drape over that front leg. Melting forehead towards the knee. Take a breath in. And a breath out. One more time. Bend into the front knee. We're just going to swing the leg around gently. And it's up to you. You can take a child's pose or flow through a little vinyasa here. Again, down dog is optional. You can stay in that little child's pose if you'd like. This time we're going to take the right foot forward. I think I'm on the right side this time. Yeah. Take a moment to really set up, square off. We're sliding this right hip back just a little bit to square off the hips. Checking in. And then really press through this back heel. We'll lower that back knee. Feel free to scooch the leg. Take the left hand to the mat. Stretch the right fingertips all the way out in front of you, farther than you think you can, all the way up to the sky, big circle, and back behind you, gazing to those back fingertips. And let's roll the shoulders back. Careful that you're not collapsed in this bottom shoulder. We're reaching. We're going to take that hand all the way back to the front on the inside of the leg. And breathe here in our little modified lizard pose. If you have the ability to come all the way down onto forearms and you're there today, feeling loose and good and not forcing anything, feel free to come onto forearms. I'm not quite there. Again, you always have the option of bringing a hand up to the thigh. We're going to frame that front foot. Start to peel the hip back as we straighten that leg. Scoot that front leg forward an inch or so. We'll take a little rock forward, a little rock back. Lengthen the upper body. Really reach out past the front foot. One more rock forward, one more rock back. Let's lengthen the spine even more. Really reach out and then exhale. Allow yourself to melt over that front leg. And we'll breathe here for a moment. Inhale, bring you back up. Gently swing that leg around. Feel free to take a child's pose or even a little rock side to side. We'll tuck the toes. We'll send the hips high to downward facing dog. look forward. You can take a few steps or one big step into a forward fold. And we're going to heel toe those feet hip distance apart. Taking a gorilla stretch. If your hamstrings are real tight, we're going to bring the hands to the backs of the calves. And just use your arms to gently fold you over. If you're a little more loose in the hamstrings, you can slide the hands down towards the ankles or heels. And if your hamstrings and low back are feeling super loose today, we're going to take our little bind, peace sign fingers around the big toe, and just use those arms to draw the crown of your head towards the floor. And if you're feeling super, super loose today, we're going to take our palms and just slide them on under the feet. So this gives the hamstrings an extra stretch. Let's all inhale to lengthen the spine. And use your exhale to melt over, send that tailbone high. Let your neck relax. Slowly release your hands wherever they are. Bend those knees a little more. Do a little shake side to side. Inhale, let's come to that halfway lifted position. Give as much support as you need here with your hands. Exhale, really soft knees as we fold back over. And on an inhale, tuck the tailbone and roll up. One backbone at a time. Take a big stretch all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands come to your heart. Pause here for a moment. And breathe. Notice if anything is feeling extra loose in the hips now versus the start of class. We're going to take a really wide stance here. So face the side of your mat. We're going to practice what's called Skandasana. It's a side-to-side inner and outer hip stretch. We can also do it as a leg strengthener, hip strengthener. Today I think we're going to hang out in the stretch for a little bit. So the wider you go, the better. We're going to take a nice deep bend into the left leg. We're going to take both hands either to the thigh, and if you feel a lovely little stretch here, you're going to just hang out here. And if you have a little more mobility available, we're going to take our fingertips down, framing the left foot. And this right leg, we're going to allow to rotate up to the sky. Whoop, need to catch my balance. As we sink low. So hands wherever you feel balanced, out in front. I like out in front. And then we're going to use our hands to walk ourselves over to the other side. So the right foot turns in, points forward. This left foot is going to turn up to the sky as we sink low. And try to keep the entire foot on the floor here. Deep breathing. Okay, walk yourself over to the left. Sink low, right leg rotates open. Walking yourself back over to the right. One more time over to the left. Take one extra inhale here. Exhale, sink into the stretch. We're going to turn and face the front of our mat into a lunge. So that left leg is forward. We're going to heel toe the leg a foot across to the right side of the mat. Come into a little pigeon stretch. So lower your leg down onto the floor, your shin. And we're gonna scoot the back leg back. Lots of scooting today. It's an official yoga term. If this left hip doesn't quite reach the floor, like my hips are pretty tight today, so it's not quite getting there, use your hands or something to prop that hip up, maybe a folded towel, a little block, or a book. And just breathe. The more open your hips are, you can take the front leg more parallel with the front of your mat. If you're feeling tightness, we're gonna bend that knee a little more. And then just square off the hips. Feel free to fold over those legs. I'm gonna let you breathe here for a few cycles of breath. When you're ready, use those hands to push yourself back up. We're going to heel toe the left leg back to the left side, come back into a lunge. And we're going to return to our little skandasana just one more time to the right. Sink those hips low. And then this time we're going to turn and face the back of our mat. Off screen, sorry. Lengthen out here, bring the right foot across, shin comes to the mat, square off those hips, find whatever's comfortable for you. You can scoot the back leg back, just make sure this leg isn't all the way out to the side. It likes to creep out to the side. Bring it on in. And then whatever stretch is comfortable for you. If you want to stay up here, you stay up. You want to fold, you fold. One more inhale, one more exhale. Gently press back up and just sit on that hip. Swing the legs around. Find a cozy little cross-legged position. Sit nice and tall. Breathe here. You can close your eyes if you want. We're just going to center ourselves seated. Lengthen up, sit tall. We're going to take a forward fold, really lovely little low back stretch here, walking the fingertips forward, reaching the heart forward. And then just allow yourself to melt over. Re-lengthen the spine, walk those fingertips forward an extra inch. We're going to take our hands, framing the left leg, and then take your shoulders and square them off towards the left side. Pin that right hip down. It wants to peel. Just pin it down. You're going to feel a really awesome release in the right low back. Breathing deep. Let's take the fingertips back to center and then come on over to the right side. Stretch those fingertips out, square off the shoulders, pin that left hip down. walk back to center. And come on up to a tall seat. We're going to send the legs out to the sides, and don't worry if you can't crank the legs open 180 degrees. It's not what this is about. We're going to find a comfortable stretch where you can feel balanced, sit nice and tall. So if you feel like you're really trying to hold yourself up and gripping into the hip flexors, fold up your mat, grab a blanket, grab a pillow, just sit up a little bit so you can feel nice and relaxed in this position. We're going to take our right fingertips to the side, left arm up by the ear, and just start to walk the right fingertips away from you as we tilt over to the side. Gazing up towards the elbow, really stretch through these left fingertips. If you want to take this stretch a little bit further, the right hand can actually walk across the opposite direction, trying to get your shoulder almost to your thigh here. So really stretchy side stretch. And again, just watching that the top shoulder stays rolled open. Take one more breath in. We're going to come all the way up to seated, sitting tall. Do a little neck shake side to side. I'll take the left side, walking those fingertips, take a big stretch up, arm along the side of the ear, walking the left fingertips out as we stretch through the right arm. And again, if your back is super loose today, you can take the arms stretching in the opposite direction. And we breathe. Take one more big breath in. Exhale, slowly make your way back up to seated. Do a little neck side to side. We're going to come down onto our backs, leaving our mat on the floor. You know it's humid when roll down onto our backs. Let's give our knees a gentle little hug in. Walking the shoulders underneath of you. Lengthen out the neck here. Make sure you're not straining the neck. Release the chin. Breathing. Feel the tailbone lengthening to the mat. If there are any final stretches you want to take here, maybe a little twist to the side, a lying hamstring stretch, a little reclined pigeon. Feel free to go ahead and add that in. If you want to go ahead and come into Shavasana, we'll send one leg long, the other leg long. Relax the arms open. Really try to melt yourself into your mat. And check in with the toes, the ankles, the calves, the knees, front, sides, and back of the leg, and the hips. Let it go. Check in with hip flexors, the belly, the back, rib cage and shoulders, collarbones. Let it go. Check in with the arms, the elbows, the forearms, wrists, and fingertips. Let it go. Finally, check in with the neck, the jaw, the throat, the tongue, the cheeks, the eyes, the forehead, the scalp. Let it go. to bring a little bit of movement back into the body, working your way from the outside in. And when you're ready, we'll send the legs long, send the arms long overhead for a nice big stretch. Big inhale. Carefully fold over to one side, and we'll make our way up to seated. Pause here for a moment. One palm down to feel grounded, one palm facing up for gratitude. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Seal in your practice. I'll take the palms to the heart. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, guys. The light in me sees and acknowledges the light in all of you. Let's bow third eye to heart center. Namaste. Have a lovely weekend, my friends.